Bum! A fateful collision, coffee spills, apologies stumble out, and the destiny of more than one person changes forever. Hey, Soul and Love Stories fans. Have you ever had one of those tiny random moments in life that somehow flipped your whole world upside down? Sometimes all it takes is stepping out the door to find opportunity waiting. Join us as we dive into Sophie and Liam's story, from this clumsy crash to fiery drama and a twist of an ending you won't see coming. Don't forget to hit subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subs fast so we can keep spreading beautiful love stories together. Let's get started. Sophie Miller wasn't the type to live in a daydream. She was too busy serving it, one coffee cup at a time. At 24, she worked as a waitress in a tiny New York cafe, always flashing a smile even when life was kicking her down. Late rent, piling medical bills for her mom, Clara, and her real passion, painting, stuffed away in a sketchbook under her bed. "You've got talent, don't waste it," Clara rasped from her hospital bed, eyes still bright despite the oxygen tubes. "Don't toss your brushes aside for me." Sophie nodded, but cash was king, and Art wasn't paying her bills. Jess, her loud-mouthed but kind-hearted best friend, had other ideas. "You're about to turn into a lonely old hag," Jess cackled over beers, shoving her phone in Sophie's face. "I set you up on a blind date. Tomorrow with a guy named Dave. Get out of single life before you're too old to date." Sophie groaned. "Jess, if this flops, I'm haunting you forever." But deep down, she was curious. Maybe a fun night out wouldn't kill her. The next evening, Sophie dragged herself to a swanky Manhattan restaurant, feeling like a fish out of water among the polished crowd in suits and heels. "Jess, I'm gonna strangle you," she muttered, tugging at her thrift store dress, sticking out like a sore thumb among martini-sipping elites. She scanned for table 12 like Jess had texted, nerves jangling, then tripped, splashing a full glass of water across a guy's table, yelling, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry!" Before she could bolt, she plopped down, assuming it was her spot. Liam Hayes, the guy at the table, wasn't waiting for anyone like her. A tech CEO with a penthouse and a fat bank account, he kept a low profile, no flashy suits, just chilling like a regular dude. He was sipping soda, expecting a business partner, when this wild-eyed girl drenched his napkin and sat down like they were old pals. He started, but Sophie cut in, grinning wide. "You're Dave, right? Jess said you're super chill. Don't hate me for the water mess." Liam blinked, caught off guard, but her goofy smile hooked him. He should have corrected her. "I'm not Dave, lady," but nah. He rolled with it. "You look like a boring tech guy. Probably coding all day, huh?" she teased, sipping her water like nothing happened. Liam laughed. "Something like that. You?" Sophie shrugged. "Waitress by day, dreamer by night? Sounds cooler than it is." Her vibe, no frills, straight up real, hit him like a curveball. For once, someone didn't care how rich he was. When she rambled about spilling coffee on rude customers, Liam leaned in, thinking, who is this girl? Totally forgetting his meeting. Outside, New York buzzed, but in here, something weird and wonderful was sparking. Liam sat across from Sophie, his shirt still smeared with cake cream from her disaster, planning to clear up the whole "I'm not Dave" mix-up. But then he just shut up. Sophie started talking with this raw honesty that made him forget his original plan. She kicked off with her waitressing gig, her tone witty with a dash of bitterness. One time, a guy asked for 3 coffee refills, then left a $1 tip. I stood there wanting to cry for my empty wallet. She chuckled, sipping her water like it was no big deal, then went on about her mom, Clara. She's been in the hospital for a month, always telling me not to give up painting. I'm like, sure, it's pretty, but if it doesn't pay, it's trash. Liam watched her, intrigued. It had been forever since he'd met someone who spilled their everyday life like this, no pretense at all. Sophie glanced at Liam, smirking as she teased harder. What about you? Probably coding till your eyes bleed, Should I paint your portrait sometime? Liam let out a big laugh, the rare kind he never showed in tense boardroom meetings. Careful, you might draw the wrong guy, he shot back, then added, I once fell asleep in a shareholder meeting, woke up to the whole room staring like they wanted to eat me alive. Sophie cracked up. Oh my God, you're that clueless. I thought you just pounded keyboards. He shrugged, keeping it light, but his story hinted at wealth. Sophie was too busy laughing to notice. He grabbed a napkin off the table, quickly sketching her. Messy hair, wide grin, bright eyes. Done, he slid it over like a little gift. But she was too caught up in her story to see. They kept chatting, the fancy restaurant suddenly feeling oddly cozy. Sophie tossed in another tale about spilling coffee on a cranky customer, mimicking a dramatic apology. Sir, so sorry. Next time I'll dump it on the table so you can wipe it easier. Liam laughed so hard he nearly tipped over, forgetting all about his partner meeting. He loved how she didn't care who he was. No questions about his paycheck, no wallet glances, just talking like old friends. Mid-laugh, Sophie's phone buzzed. A text from the real Dave. I'm at table 12, where are you? She peeked at it, her face blank for a sec, muttering, What the heck? Liam raised an eyebrow. What's up? Sophie forced a grin. Oh, probably just my friend checking in. Sophie reread the text, then glanced at the table number. Table 10, not 12, like Dave had said. Her eyes widened, face turning tomato red. Oh my God, I've been sitting here an hour with the wrong guy. She whipped around to Liam, stammering. You're not Dave? Just then, she spotted a stranger walking to table 12, holding flowers, scanning the room like he was looking for someone. Sophie yelped, Are you and that guy in on this? Messing with me for kicks? Liam scratched his head, giving a sheepish grin. No, I'm Liam. I meant to tell you from the start, but I like talking to you too much, so I just went with it. He shrugged, voice honest. But all Sophie could hear was her heart pounding from anger and embarrassment. She glanced down at the table, spotting the napkin with the sketch, her face in soft, gentle lines, but figured he was mocking her. What's this? Another trick? Sophie shot up, hands trembling. I've got to go. She grabbed her purse, but in her panic it slipped and hit the floor. Phone, lipstick, keys scattering everywhere. Then her phone blared to life, blasting a loud pop song across the restaurant. Heads turned, a few people snickered. Sophie's face burned. This is mortifying, she muttered, bolting for the door, her old shoes clacking on the shiny floor. Outside, New York streetlights blazed, but Sophie just wanted to sink into the ground. She ran, thinking, how could I be so dumb, chatting with a stranger for an hour, thinking he and that other guy were teaming up to prank me? Liam stood there, holding the purse she'd left behind, watching her vanish through the glass door, a hollow feeling settling in. He called out, Hey, you forgot! But she was already gone, swallowed by the crowd. For the first time, he felt the urge to chase after someone, not for work, not for money, but just for her. He muttered to himself, This girl's something else. Liam returned to his penthouse, the massive place suddenly feeling cold and empty without Sophie's goofy laughter echoing in his mind. The next morning, he mumbled to a coworker over the phone, I've never met anyone like her, clumsy but weirdly captivating. He decided to track her down, even though all he knew was she waitressed somewhere in New York, like finding a needle in a haystack in a city of millions. Rummaging through the purse she'd left behind, he found a crumpled coffee receipt from Bean Buzz, the address scribbled clearly on a familiar street corner. He thought, maybe she's there. A week later, he swung by the cafe, playing it cool as a regular, ordering coffee like it was no big deal. As he stepped in, he spotted Sophie, balancing a tray of coffees, only to clumsily drop the whole thing right onto Liam's foot. Cups shattered, coffee splashed everywhere. The whole place erupted in laughter, a few people even clapping to tease. Sophie's face went beet red as she yelped, "Oh my God, today's just not my day." Liam faked a wince, clutching his foot. "What, you trying to get revenge? That hurt like hell." Sophie looked up, recognized him, and froze, hands flailing. "You... what are you doing here?" Her face flushed, the table mix-up flashing back, making her want to dig a hole and disappear. Liam gave a soft grin, standing up straight. "I've been looking for you all week. You left your purse at the restaurant, and your clumsy charm too, huh?" He held out the bag, cool as ever. Sophie mumbled, "Thanks, but you didn't have to." Liam shrugged. "I'm not the boring tech guy you think. I'm Liam, and I'd like to take you for coffee again, properly this time, no mix-ups." Sophie eyed him, half wanting to say no, half curious. She muttered, "Jess is gonna die laughing if she hears this," then nodded. "Fine, but don't let me spill coffee on you again." Liam chuckled. "I can handle it." The little cafe seemed to brighten, like it was signaling a fresh start. After their clumsy reunion at Bean Buzz, Sophie and Liam began spending more time together, their connection growing with each meeting. On some days, they'd settle into their favorite corner of the cafe, where pale sunlight filtered through the large window, casting a soft glow across the weathered wooden table. Sophie would wrap her hands around a steaming coffee mug, the warmth from the white ceramic spreading through her palms, while stealing glances at Liam as he watched the hurried crowds outside. She couldn't help but wonder silently, is he really this nice? Or just putting on an act to make me feel good? Liam, though, was the opposite, always relaxed, as if he had no secrets to keep. He'd share awkward snippets from his life, like the time he set a frying pan on fire because he was too engrossed in coding to turn off the stove. "The smoke was so thick my neighbors pounded on the door thinking I'd torched the place," he said, letting out a hearty laugh, his deep, warm voice rising above the cafe's background chatter. Sophie couldn't hold back her own laughter, coffee sloshing over the rim as she fumbled for a napkin, still chuckling uncontrollably. Little by little, she started to see he wasn't the type to brag or hide some dark side. One rainy afternoon, as they took shelter in a snug corner of the cafe, Liam surprised her. He dug into his bag and pulled out an old watercolor set, its chipped paint revealing scratches from years gone by. Sliding it across the table toward Sophie, he said, "I used to paint when I was a kid, but I dropped it as I got older." "Take it. Don't let your talent fade away." Sophie's eyes widened in shock. "You painted?" "I thought you just coded to scrape by." Liam shrugged, a faint smile tugging at his lips, faint crow's feet crinkling around his eyes. "Try it out. You might even make me jealous." She picked up the set, her fingers tracing the worn edges, a mix of nerves and excitement bubbling inside her. "My stuff's terrible. No one would bother looking at it," she muttered, her voice fading. Liam burst into a big laugh. "I got told my drawings look like a chicken scratched them. Just go for it, no one's gonna judge you." His words hit her like a refreshing breeze, melting away her tension. Between them, an unspoken bond was taking shape, two souls who'd once dreamed and stumbled in their own unique ways. That night, Sophie brought the watercolors back to her cramped apartment. She sat cross-legged on the floor, spreading blank paper before her, the dim yellow glow of her desk lamp illuminating her first brushstrokes. She painted that night of the table mix-up at Bean Buzz. Liam bathed in the soft, hazy light, his slender hands resting on the table beside the napkin with his sloppy sketch. Her phone kept buzzing, Liam's texts lighting up the screen. "You'll regret not trying. I bet you'll blow everyone away." His encouragement sparked a quiet fire in her chest. For the first time in forever, after endless shifts behind the counter, she felt she could reach for something greater. Jess, her best friend since high school, swung by that weekend. The moment she walked in, she zeroed in on the paint set and half-finished canvas. With a sly wink, she teased, "You've got a thing for this Liam guy, huh? Don't make me play Cupid and paint your wedding portrait." Sophie's face flushed as she snapped, "A thing?" He's just a friend. But Jess wouldn't drop it. A friend who hands over a whole paint set? You're done for. I'm calling a rom-com ending right now. Sophie huffed a laugh, trying to deflect, but inside she was a jumble of emotions. Liam was genuinely kind, she couldn't deny it, yet a part of her still hesitated to trust him fully. What she didn't know was that behind those uplifting messages, Liam had quietly contacted organizers of a small New York art exhibit, thinking to himself, "She deserves her moment to shine." Everything was peaceful, like a calm lake, until one morning when Sophie scrolled through her phone during a break at Bean Buzz. She froze at an online article, Liam grinning beside a gorgeous woman in a stunning, form-fitting gown under a bold headline, "CEO Liam Hayes dazzles at charity gala." Sophie's hand shook as she gripped her phone. CEO? He's some big shot? Her mind raced, fragmented clues piecing together into a truth she didn't want to accept. That afternoon, Jess burst into the cafe, eyes sparkling. "I saw Liam on Forbes. You mixed up with a tycoon. I found old pics. He's at that gala with her, probably his real girlfriend." Sophie scrambled through social media, unearthing photos from last year. Liam next to that woman, both beaming under elegant flashes. Her heart pounded. He hid who he is and strung me along? Rage choked her. It felt like a cruel prank. Unable to hold back, she texted Liam, "Meet me at the cafe now." He arrived quickly, wearing that familiar soft smile. "What's so urgent?" But Sophie's composure shattered. She slammed her phone on the table, the article's photo glaring, her voice trembling. "You're a CEO with a girlfriend all this time, pretending to be some regular guy? Was it a game to you?" Liam's face drained of color. "No, Sophie, she's just my assistant. I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think I was showing off." But Sophie wasn't listening. She pulled the painting of their mixed-up night from her bag, hands shaking as she set it ablaze right in front of him. The small flame flared, consuming every stroke, reducing it to ashes. "I don't need your pity," she shouted, eyes brimming with tears. Liam, stunned, pleaded, "Sophie, don't—" But she cut him off. "You lied from the start. Don't contact me again." Her voice cracked as she turned away. "I thought you were different, but you're just another rich jerk messing around." She hurried behind the counter, tears threatening to spill, but held back in front of coworkers. Liam stood frozen, staring at the pile of ash, fists clenched until his knuckles whitened, aching to follow but rooted in place. "I ruined everything," he muttered. Jess nearby gaped at the scene. "Holy crap, you burned it, but I swear that photo's old." Sophie didn't turn back, her heart heavy as a storm cloud. Outside, New York's lights blazed, but between them, a vast rift had opened, stretching like the city's endless streets. After the explosive drama at Bean Buzz, Liam couldn't sleep. The image of Sophie walking away, her eyes brimming with disappointment, haunted him. But he wasn't ready to give up. He recalled a local art exhibit he'd once turned down sponsoring due to company pressure. Shareholders constantly harping about profits had worn him thin. Now, for Sophie, he made up his mind to act. In a tense meeting, he faced sharp disapproval. "You're throwing money at an unknown artist just for personal feelings?" a shareholder barked. Liam shot to his feet, slamming the table. "I'm funding this for her, not for profit. Pull your shares if you don't like it." The room fell dead silent. No one dared argue. He stormed out, heart heavy but resolve unshaken. When the exhibit day arrived, Jess dragged an oblivious Sophie along. Stepping into the gallery, Sophie froze. Her painting of their mixed-up night hung on the wall, bathed in shimmering light. Hilariously, it was upside down. Whispers and giggles rippled through the crowd. Liam, fumbling with an exhibit sign nearby, turned at the noise, and in his fluster, dropped the huge sign with a loud crash. The room roared with laughter. An old lady quipped, "Is this an art show or a circus?" Liam blushed, but his eyes lit up seeing Sophie there, a faint smile on her lips. Liam hurried over to Sophie, hands still dusty from the fallen sign incident. He took a deep breath, voice shaky. "I almost skipped this exhibit. The company pushed me to back out, but I fought them for you. I didn't mention I'm a CEO because I didn't want you to just see money, not me." He paused, locking eyes with her. Sophie stayed quiet, then dug into her purse, pulling out a charred scrap. The sketch from their mixed-up night she'd half burned. "I kept it because of you," she said softly, eyes glistening. "I thought I hated you, but I guess I didn't." Liam froze, then broke into a relieved smile. "So, you forgive me?" Before she could answer, Jess popped up out of nowhere, hands on hips, shouting, "Forgive what? I'm the bridesmaid, got it? Don't forget I kicked this off when you were blushing at Bean Buzz." Sophie laughed, cheeks flushing, while Liam nodded at Jess. "Fine, you win." The three burst into laughter, warmth filling the air. Liam took Sophie's hand, leading her to the painting of their first night. "This is where we started. Not bad, huh?" Sophie leaned into him, whispering, "Thanks for not giving up." Outside, New York glowed, but in this little corner, two hearts had found each other, a sweet ending amid lovable chaos. And that's a wrap on Sophie and Liam's journey. From that fateful crash at Bean Buzz to misunderstandings, upside-down paintings, and a sweet, happily ever after. What did you think of their story? Have you ever had a random moment that flipped your life upside down? Drop a comment below and share with us. Don't forget to hit like if you loved this tale, share it to spread the feels to your friends, and subscribe so you won't miss out on more beautiful love stories from Soul and Love Stories. Help us hit 1,000 subs so we can create even more memories together. See you next video.